I'm Julie,
And I'm Kurt.
and we're here to talk about
Neighboring.
neighboring.
Yes.
We, first of all, have the best neighborhood in the entire world. Let's just clarify that. When we first moved in, Dana was a neighbor who was across the street, and she came over and gave us cookies and some apple cider, and said, "Welcome to the neighborhood." And that right there was my model. And they have since moved, and I knew that I wanted to continue that tradition because I felt so welcomed and so loved in the neighborhood. So that's what I did with every neighbor that came in. It was very intentional. After that, we had conversations of the ones of us that have children. It takes a village. And we all came to an agreement just through talking that it's okay to tell, my child if she's doing something that's not safe or not appropriate, it's okay, and total permission. So through the years, we have become really good friends through lots of conversation.
Well, yeah, we oftentimes people will just be sitting in our front yards, and then everybody else just kind of sees that, oh, Mike's out. So everybody goes and stops there, and we'll spend a few hours hanging out with neighbors, or several people send out a group text, and we have a group text setup that pretty much includes everybody within the court and up the street. And that came about just through getting to know each other. And so if people are wanting to have some time together, which usually happens at least once a week, somebody will either be sitting out in their driveway or text everybody and say, "Hey, I'm on the deck, come on over."
So that's cultivated a lot of friendships. And we have block parties every year, and we invite everybody to, come to the block party so we can just be a community. We all live with each other. We're all growing up together, so we might as well know each other. But one of the things that I love about this neighborhood is that we are multicultural. We have Pakistan, we have China, we have Chile, South African, we have Russian, we have African American, we have elderly, we have young, and we all totally respect each other and totally respect each other's privacy as well, which is huge. We do, like on snowstorms, we have Vonda, who just lost her husband. He was in the military, Vietnam War.
Yeah.
And she's the little spitfire. When we have snowstorms, she's the one that comes out and shovels everybody's driveway. So then the guy...
There's several of us guys who, our point during a snowstorm, especially the bigger ones, is to try to beat her to her driveway. And usually, there's been a couple of times we've gotten out at 4 o'clock, and we one guy's got a snow thrower, and I've got a shovel, and we come down and try to meet in her driveway and clear it out. And last time it was 4 in the morning, and she had already done it.
So... These are the little nuances that we know about each other that, that make it fun. It just makes living together fun. Another thing that we've experienced is that some people are retired, some people have to commute, and with our discussions, we've found out that there's not one point during a 24-hour period that there's not one person awake watching the neighborhood and making sure that we're safe and everything like that, which was really cool to find out. So we're just, I don't know, intentional. I just had Marvin, who moved up the street, and he moved here maybe 2 months ago. So I started waving to him when I was taking the girls to the bus stop, and he's waving back and everything. And then there was one point in time where we were out together, so I ran up and I'm like, "I'm Julie," So I got his story, and so we're gonna have the block party next weekend, and he's definitely invited. I hope he comes, which would be great. But one of the challenges to neighboring also is finding out who likes their privacy and who doesn't. They need their space and they don't want to come. And that's fine. That took a little while because we were like, why aren't they coming out and hanging out? But then you come to realize, no, they want their privacy and everything. So we respect that. But we definitely offer, and we're here to help. I mean, when they move in, you guys.
Well, yeah, there was a evening where everybody was up at somebody's house up the street, one of the guys, and we were all just hanging out talking, and we noticed that a U-Haul came up into the house that had just sold across the street, and literally all of us stood up, walked over, and started asking if they wanted help moving in, and they didn't, and that was one of the families that Julie's talking about that is very quiet, but we wanted to offer the help, and we wanted to be kind, and that's, for most of us, that's kind of a thing that we do naturally, is just like, oh, there's big heavy things to lift, let's go do it. So
But we want to have a culture where our children grow up being comfortable. We're not scared. We all protect each other. We all help each other. When your mom passed away, we had 12 people helping.
Yeah, when my mom passed away, Julie had put a notification out just that it had happened. And the last snowstorm that we had, where we got 2.5, 3 feet of snow, I don't know, my mom being not typically dramatic, as the last snowflake fell is when she took her last breath. So it was like, okay, we've got my passed away mom right here on the couch, and we've got 3 feet of snow in the driveway. And had called the funeral home, and they said, well, once you all get cleared out, we can get there. Call us when you're cleared out. And Julie put out a notification, and within 20 minutes, there were 12 people out with snow blowers and shovels and everything else, and had it cleared within 2 hours, all the way up to the top of the court, so that the people could come down. And that was just a perfect example of, neighbor helping neighbor, and going out of their way and helping each other out.
So that's where we live.
And that's kind of typical for what, like we mentioned before with the snow, it's almost like that's another block party. Whenever we get snows, everybody's out, we're all talking and having fun, and the kids are playing in the circle in the big piles of snow that we make with all the stuff that we take out of our driveways and stuff. And
another part also is that our kids are growing up together, and so we talk about problems that our kids are having and struggles. We help maybe problem solve a little bit, and like I said, it takes a community.
There are some families that we don't feel necessarily have been considered or teach their children to be considerate, and it's just something where we kind of go, nah, sometimes we'll say something to them about, could you not do this next time? Sometimes we talk and decide it's not worth even mentioning. It's not that big a deal, and maybe I'm blowing it up a little bit more than I should be.
So yes, we definitely have that, 100%. But we think to ourselves, what is the level of stress that we want to have with this, and most of the time, I don't want any drama.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's kind of like having your family extending outside of your home, in that, there are going to be personality conflicts and that type of thing, but still having that level of respect. And what we've found is, especially when it comes, when somebody new moves in and they've been here for a few years, and kind of getting over those idiosyncrasies and just thinking to ourselves, okay, I appreciate the good points about this person more than I don't appreciate the things that might get on my nerves or something like that. And like I said, it's kind of like having your family, but it extends out into multiple houses versus just our own.
I know today he told me the neighbors keep their lights on all night and it shines in our bedroom. And I was like, listen, that is not something I'm going to stress over at all. So get over it. So we definitely have that conversation between us. So, yeah. But for the most part, we enjoy our neighbors and have a good time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Julie, and thank you, Kurt, for sharing with us what it looks like to neighbor well in real life. There's such great practical stories that you had to share with us, and I love the way that your community works and the way that people come together and share life together and live together. And there's just a couple things that I want to highlight from the conversation that we just heard with Julie and Kurt. when it comes to us and neighboring well. And the first is that, last week we talked about how Jesus tells us to love our neighbor, and that when he said that, he meant it. That he didn't. It's not just this ethereal concept, but it's this real practical thing where we are called to go to the people that are around us and love them like Christ loved them. And a lot of times we know that that is easier said than done, because sometimes people are hard to love. That's the reality of it. But we are called to do that nonetheless. And I think Julie and Kurt's example is a great story that supports that, about how loving each other well in a community works. And there's a couple things. Julie and Kurt talked about the diversity in their community and how many different types of families, not just from cultural backgrounds, but from international backgrounds and just from theological backgrounds and everything else, they are able to come together and share life together. And one of the things that Julie mentioned that does is it removes fear from the equation. One of the biggest causes for fear is an unknown, something that we can't quantify or we can't qualify, or something that we don't understand. We tend to respond to things like that in fear. And when we are going out into our local community and getting to know the people that live around us, that fear melts away, and we are able to come together and love each other for real. And that's just super cool. And I also like how Julie and Kurt talk about the ways that their community comes together in times of need, where because they've been able to get to know each other and experience life together, they are able to reach out when people need help, when there's a snowstorm and snow needs clearing, that they are able to reach out to their community for support, and they are able to support others in their community when they need it too. And it's so huge to be able to do that, to understand that you have that support network at the ready to go. And it's because there isn't this fear that, well, what are these people going to think of me if I ask for help? They're going to think that I'm lazy or that I can't take care of myself. But because we know each other and because we love each other and we live in this community that is close, we're able to reach out for support when it's needed. And that is just, it's so great. It's so great. I was so inspired listening to Julie and Kurt's story about the way that they are able to really live into that loving your neighbor message that we were talking about last week. Kurt also mentioned how their community sort of functions like an extension of their family. And because they live together and they know each other, they understand that even in an immediate family, there are sometimes issues. There's sometimes tension there, where you don't agree, or there's a conflict of ideas or something like that. And when you're looking at your community as kind of this extension of your family, you're able to see past those disagreements in order to continue to do life together in a loving way. We don't always have to agree on everything in order to live life together. A lot of the climate in our culture today says that, we have these in-groups and out-groups, and if you think the way I think and believe what I believe, then you're part of my group and I can agree with you and we can work together. But if you don't, then there's this tension, and if we don't see eye to eye on everything, then we can't work together. And that is simply not true, and it's not living into this call from Jesus that we love our neighbor and that we live life together. So that I think that was huge, the way they talked about being a family together and respecting each other's boundaries and really, really operating in your community like a family. So cool. So thank you again, Julie and Kurt, for sharing your story with us. I think it was so great and it's so impactful. So thank you. I have one resource that I want to share with you guys that I am just starting to check out, and I think it's pretty cool. It is an app that you can get for your smartphone. I'm pretty sure it's available for iOS and Android, and I'll put links to the app down in the notes section if you want to go check it out. But it's called Nextdoor. And this is kind of the online way for us to get started neighboring. What you do is you sign up for the app and you put in your address and your name, and it connects you with other people in your immediate neighborhood that are also using the app. And you can share things like safety updates and weather updates, and if you've lost a pet, or all sorts of other things that you can do with this app that helps you connect with your neighbors, learn your neighbors' names, where they're at, and what's going on in their lives. And I don't think this is a replacement for going out into your front yard and talking to your neighbors face to face, but I think it is a good way to get started, especially if the idea of walking across the street and knocking on the door of your neighbor's house who you don't know is a little bit intimidating to you. This is an easy way to start that process for yourself, to get to know the people around you. You can start reaching out to those people, introducing yourself, getting to know the community around you. If that's something that gives you a little bit of anxiety, it's a great way to get started in that. So the app is called Nextdoor. I'll put links in the notes. Please feel free to check it out. I hope that it's something that is valuable and meaningful to you. And so before we wrap up, I just want to close with some prayer. God, thank you for being with us tonight as we worshiped and as we grow together. God, I pray that you would make neighboring a priority in our hearts. I pray that you would give us the desire to move outside of our house, outside of our front door, that we don't just make this trip from the driveway to the door and from the door to the driveway, never interacting with the people that are immediately around us. I pray that you would give us a heart for those people so that we can come together, build community, so that we can build your kingdom. As we love each other and as we grow together, we become better, and we are better able to share your love and your grace with the world around us. So God, I pray that you would put that on our hearts, that you would make that a priority in our lives, so that communities and build your kingdom. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.